Hey guys, okay, today we're going to talk about stigma. The stigma of living in a complicated marriage. I'm so glad you're here. We're so glad you're here. We're going to have an amazing discussion, so let's get going. Mwah! Some partnerships are complicated by big boulders with things like chronic illness and addiction. If you're in a marriage like that, we're here to teach you how to thrive solo so that you can thrive together. We're Mark and Melody Ross, married for more than 30 years and living with the boulder of traumatic brain injury for more than half of our marriage. We thrive solo so that we can thrive together. Hey everybody.
Hey.
Okay, well, we're going to just start making videos about our experience with the intention of taking away the stigma and the shame and the isolation and the secret keeping and the excuse making and the pretending and all the things that come along with living inside of a complicated marriage, right? Yeah. So I wanted to start first, we started the Married Solo Facebook group about, it's been several weeks. And what I have witnessed since we started that is just, first of all, incredible stories, incredible tragic heroic stories. And then also just a privately and publicly, a lot of you have expressed, I don't know if you would call it fear, trepidation, about talking about your own story. And that's great. I think everybody needs to keep the boundaries that feel comfortable. But I also wanted to make this first video about just stigma, about the stigma of anything that in our culture that is, not normal, I guess, or I don't know what would you even say? What is the stigma about? Especially with things to do with mental wellness, mental normalcy, neurotypical is what they're calling it these days. That there's just such a stigma with anything that's not neurotypical, and so that's why a lot of us don't talk about this. But we were talking this morning about, a lot of the reasons why we haven't talked about it a lot, or why other people don't talk about this. We were just kind of listing some of those out. And then we wanted to talk a little bit about what we have been able to do to talk about it without feeling like we're throwing each other under the bus, right? And it's the boulder thing that we talked about in the first video. So I'll just start, and then Mark can go. Mark and I were talking this morning about how he's a hands-on kind of guy and can figure anything out, how to build or fix anything, but not so...
That's a bit of an exaggeration.
I don't think it is. Nor does anybody who know him think that that's an exaggeration. But he was talking about how, I can easily and fluently speak in the language, especially of feelings and emotions and human experience. And it's just a language that comes easy to me. And so he just states facts, and they're very simple and profound too. But you'll probably find that I do a lot of the talking, unless you get going sometimes on a tangent.
Just a tangent, not the subject.
Yeah, on the subject too. But sometimes you get going and you'll talk more than I do. But and none of this is going to be scripted, just because I think all of us are tired of living a scripted life. That's one of the things that wears you out. Living in a complicated marriage is feeling like you have to weigh all of your words and all of your actions, and to make it acceptable and I don't know what the people. It seems like, okay, so I'm just gonna start. Probably the biggest reason why I don't talk about what our life is really like is because it seems like people can't really take it. A lot of people can't really take it. It's too much. you know, and after you have talked to people about what's going on with your life, you know, we live in a society where people want to move on from things, you know, we're just like an instant, quick society. And it seems like people want to hear about it in the beginning, but then they're like, why are you still talking about that, you know, years later? And it's because we're still living that, you know? And so that's one of the reasons why I don't talk about it a lot, is because parts of it just don't change. And so you're just saying the same stuff over and over again. And it feels like it just gets to be too much for people, except for the right people, you know, they want to hear about all of our experiences. And obviously we are growing and changing through this experience, but a lot of, what we've dealt with and are continuing to deal with is going to be a long-term thing. And so I guess especially the last couple of months, I've kind of felt like I just can't, I don't have the energy anymore to have people in my life that I have to hide this part of it from, because it's too much for them. That it's exhausting to do that, you know, it's exhausting to pretend like everyth's okay to make other people comfortable. Right? Do you want to talk about that at all? About the I know you get, especially, you know, when he was in the I'm going to say the first 6 years of recovery that was really, really bad, he would try to pretend a little bit here and there every couple months or whatever, and then it would take weeks or months sometimes to recover from that, from having to show up and pretend. And I don't know what it's even like for you. Do you want to talk about, because my pretending is just holding back tears and holding back stress and just trying to show up in life like everything's normal when he's at home suffering. Now his pretending is different because he's actually the one that's sick doing the suffering. So when you're pretending, what does that look like for you?
Going back to the boulder analogy, that's always there. So it's me trying to pretend like I was before I'm having this boulder with me or with us. But I know how I was, and that's not how I am now, but I tried to pretend. And like she said, that happened for probably 5 or 6 years from the time that I, you know, got the brain injury. But then it felt like there was a time where I was kind of getting comfortable with my boulder, with our boulder. And then after that, when there was, you know, more ups and downs, like, I don't know if we'd say the boulder kind of changes size, or it's easier to carry on my back rather than under my arm sometimes, or I don't know how to picture that, put that in words. But sometimes it's like, oh, things are good, and then there's months that, like, man, this is like extra struggle. Who knows why? What is it? You know, it's from this boulder, whatever it is. And I finally got to a point where that is the reality, the norm. Like, live in both cases, live the highs and live the lows. And when it's low, you know, and you're around people, at least for me, when I'm around people, oh, what are you doing? I'm not doing that. You know, I'm surviving right now. That's really where I'm at. So I got to a place where I can just say that. This is how it is right now. And I know it's not going to be like this forever. Like, at some point I'll be able to put this boulder on my back, and then I can have some, you know, more good stuff, the highs, you know, rather than the lows maybe. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is just living the reality of what it is, rather, and getting rid of the pretend and the fake. Like, I want to be how I was, and I tried that for a long time, and it's never going to be that way. So trying to understand what it is in each moment, in each day, each week, month. And then, like, I don't want to bring people down. That's not in my nature. But I also, you know, if I'm around some people, and, you know, I might, maybe it's kind of, I don't know if it's rude of me, but to see my black and white. Like, if they can't handle the fact that I have this boulder, then I'm sorry, you know, don't be around me right now, or, you know, whatever it is. I just, like, people are okay if you're walking around in crutches with a broken leg. Like, my brain's kind of partly broken. That's my boulder. So if that's too hard for you, I'm sorry. Go hang around with the broken leg people if that's all you can handle. And maybe one day you'll be to a place where you can, be around other people. Like, I don't know that I could be around someone with a different boulder than I've got. I don't know if I could handle that. Maybe I could, maybe I couldn't. Sometimes I can. Anyway, the point, I guess, for the question here, I am, is that just owning it, living it, like, this is who I am, this is what I am right now. I can't be anything but real, because fake, and those of you who know about cardboard cutouts and putting that thing that you want people to see, like, I can't do that. It feels like it's robbing my life of the reality that it is, our life.
Yeah.
Of the reality that it is. So if it's tough, it's tough, Sometimes there's mountains to climb, and sometimes there's rivers to raft. And
yeah,
just enjoy both of them as best you can and be in the moment for it.
Yeah, I think it causes a lot of suffering, and you sort of just miss out on life when all of your energy is going toward pretending that things are different than they are. It wears on you, and it wears you out, and I don't know what it is that makes it hard for people to be around it or to hear about it. I think it's that a lot of us want to fix things, and like I said, we live in a culture where there's easy fixes, and there's fast food, and there's fast fashion, and there's fast everything, and we can watch an entire series of an amazing show in 2 days now because we can binge through things. And this isn't one of those things. This isn't one of those things where we can even go get a pill that's going to fix it in 6 weeks or whatever. Like,
with most of us, there's no fix.
Yeah.
That's the boulder.
That's
You're
the
going to
boulder.
have it.
Yeah.
It's not going to go away. For those of you guys that are listening to this, what we're talking about. It's not going to go away.
No, it's not going to go away.
It's how do you carry it? How do you wrap your arms around it? How do you work with it, day in and day out? That's
Yeah, how
There's
do
no
you
quick
thrive?
fix. This
Even
is-
how do you thrive in it?
Yeah.
I think when you're pretending that it doesn't exist, you are losing all this time to figure out how to thrive with it. I wanted to talk a little bit about a conversation that we had after we made the last video, the video where we were inviting everybody to go into the Facebook group with us. After we made that video, Mark and I were talking, and I have just really always had this warrior spirit, and I have seen this boulder of ours as this war that I've been just fighting against, And do you remember what you said to me? You said, I wish you would stop saying that we need to fight this, because yeah, can you talk a little bit about that? That was a huge paradigm shift for me, because I'm just thinking, like, we need to fight this thing and get rid of it and all this kind of stuff. And he was just kind of like, and we've never had this conversation until then. Just
and the way I saw it, and I think I mentioned it even in the video, but the conquering of this boulder, if there is a conquer, because it's something that's always now, is love, is learning how to love each other with it and around it and on it and under it, and not to fight it, because if she's fighting it, and it's part of me, which is then part of us together, then it's like trying to break something that's even a bond of ours, because it's not
going to go away.
It's not going to go away. So I just wanted to try to see it in that light of not fighting it, but loving it and loving each other, like I said, around and over and under, and however I'm trying to drop word pictures of this thing, our things and the boulder. And I think sometimes even the boulder shrinks and grows, through life. And those are the ups and the downs, and sometimes it's easier to, get close together with each other than at other times. But
Yeah. Because sometimes I hate the boulder. Do you hate the boulder sometimes?
Well, of course, but I know that's not. I have to look back and say, okay, this happened, and what can I learn? What can we learn? How can I benefit other people in life because of it? Because it's not going to go away. Like, yeah, there's a lot of times I wished, well, dang, I wish this hadn't happened, but it did. Reality is, it did. So then, how can I do good? And sometimes that, I think, gives me the strength that when I'm on one of the highs, like, okay, I'm going to try, even that much harder. And then in the lows, or I go in a survival mode, knowing that it won't be forever. The low won't be forever. There'll be another day that will, and this is my situation. Obviously, I know everybody's different, but where, there'll be another day. There'll be a day that, even if it's not the low, it's just the next day that's just a little up hump, and we can connect some way, and that's better. It's good.